In this video, we're going to finish up our import set by going over the field mapping. Field mapping includes how source fields are mapped to target fields, how to identify record updates versus record inserts, and potentially any logic that needs to run on specific fields. This video also builds on the previous two videos about import sets. Okay, our use case is to import some communication devices from a spreadsheet to the communication devices table. If you haven't seen those videos, I invite you to go back and watch them. Otherwise, let's take a look at field mapping. We'll begin by going to System Import Sets, Administration, Transform Maps, and locate and open our transform map we made in the last video. In the related list, we can see that there are no field mapping entries, which makes this transform map considerably ineffective at the moment. When we click the UI action form link Auto Map Matching Fields, the system does its best to match the import set or source fields to the target table fields. Not bad, we got 8 out of 9. Now we can click either New and enter the field information manually, or we can use another related link, Mapping Assist, to use a drag and drop UI to map any missing fields. Let's do that. On the left, we scroll down to the state field. We'll choose the one with the name U_state so as not to confuse it with the import set state, and drag it to the field map like this. We want to be careful because other fields move around depending on where we drop it. Next, we'll take the status field on the right and place it alongside the state field. Looks good, so let's save. The final step in field mapping is to tell the system when to create or insert new records into the target table and when to update existing records. This is done with the coalesce field. For example, we'll set the serial number field to true. That way, if we have multiple entries with the same serial number in that same spreadsheet, we'll update an existing record rather than creating multiple target records with the same serial number. In some cases, we may need multiple coalesce fields like first name, last name, and street address. When we select multiple coalesce fields, all fields marked true must match in order to update an existing record. Let me say that again. All fields marked true in the coalesce column must match a target record's values in order to update an existing record. Even if one field doesn't match, a new record will be created. Once we've identified which fields to coalesce on, we can consider how we want to set the field Create New Record on Empty Coalesce Fields at the top of the transform map form. If all coalesce fields from the source are empty, the record would normally be ignored or overwrite an existing record. Checking this allows us to create a new record. In our case, we're going to leave it unchecked since an empty serial number is an indication of a data issue and we don't want to create devices without a serial number. While we're ready to go on with our example, let's take a look at some other powerful, yet often less used features in the field map entries. When we open the record for model number, for example, it shows us the source table in field, target table in field, and whether it's going to coalesce. This is the same information we saw on the related list. However, on the form, we've got a few more options we can do at the field level. If we need, we can run a script on each field. Perhaps we need to convert the source string value to uppercase. We could check this box, use source script, and set a return value like this to convert the value to uppercase. Like transform scripts, the field map script also has some default variables available, including source, target, answer, map, log, and action. If this were a coalesced field, we could also tell the system to coalesce empty fields or tell the coalesce operation to be case sensitive. If our source field date format doesn't match the format on the target field, we can always use the date format field to allow us to specify the incoming source date format. Okay, now that we're familiar with most of the mapping features and we've identified our fields to map and coalesce values, it's time to make it work by going back to the transform map record. We'll click the Transform UI action and process these records. Pick the import set and transform map and click Transform. The system presents a status screen telling us what it did. No errors here. And when we go to the communication devices table, we see our imported records with accurate information. The type is cell phone, and the status field says installed. We've successfully built a data source from scratch, built a transform map, explored transform script options, and created a field map with some options to import our data. Now, when someone sends us an updated spreadsheet, all we need to do is attach it to the data source record, import the records, and transform. And unless the spreadsheet changes format, all the same definitions apply, and the data will be imported to update existing records or create new ones. That's it for import sets. I hope you'll watch the next video when we talk about scheduling imports so they run automatically.